What's Blue Cracking Tube? Welcome back to the video. Today we're going to be doing another talkover, and today's talkover and video is about the ultimate and only arena guide you'll ever need. Now, since the release of Arena in Apex, I've been wanting to do a guide for a long time for new and old players to go and give you guys some tips and tricks to improve yourselves in Arena and get you guys those fat W's. Now, first up, we're going to move over to Legends, and I'm going to give you guys some Legends and, tips for Legends in Arena. Let's go. Now, Legends, I've got some recommendations here. We've got Bloodhound, we've got Lifeline, we've got Gibby, Bang, Loba, Parthy. Now, the reason I chose Parthy and Loba is because their abilities and their movement-based abilities are so cheap. I believe they're about 50 a pop, so they're pretty reasonably priced, and they stack and carry over if you don't use them in the next rounds. I was like, a complete bonus. Movement's cheap. Now, the reason I chose Lifeline and Gibby, now, with Lifeline and Gibby, you can pair them and make an absolutely cracked healing pair with a gold bag. Now, you could drop a Gibby dot on top of a res, and that Lifeline can slide in, res, and you can protect that res. And the only way their team can kill is pushing into that dome, and it puts them at a disadvantage because it does get hectic in that tiny little dome. Now, obviously, you don't need those paired to make that combo. They are a good one or another without the gold bag. Obviously, Gibby res gold bag in the dome is still nuts anyway. And the reason I put Gibby in this list is for that dome Lifeline res combo is because it does make it hard for a player that is downed to move into cover in time before they get thirsty, because people are sweaty in this game mode. So that's why I figured a dome res is probably the best combo for this build up. Now, you got your Bloodhound, your Bang, your Loba, your Parthy. I already explained why I put Loba and Parthy in, but again, they're just amazing movement-based characters. Now, your Bang and your Bloodhound, your Bang's obviously really good with their movement because of their double time when they get shot at. Bloodhounds, it's difficult because their movement is only really good when they're in their ult, but you pair Bang and Bloodhound together and smoke off and scan, it takes the sight away from the enemy team, but gives you extra sight from them. And even if they do have Digi, it still puts you at advantage because it covers and cuts them off because they've still got to scan around and find you before the Bloodhound scan hits. So I think that's a really good combo. Now, the Legends I like pairing together are Bloodhound, Lifeline, Gibby. I feel like it's just the perfect combo. And sometimes, I'll take the Gibby out and put the Bang in there. But besides that, it's pretty much the same, it's same mesh. They mesh together really well. Loba and Parthy just down to preference and how much of a movement-based character you want. Now, we're going to move on to early game, so let's get cracking into that. Early game. So, for the best part about early game, right, is you all start off on even ground. So what I can recommend for you guys is going for an Alternator Mozambique battery. Now, with the Mozambique being a free buy, it is just an amazing thing to have, and especially with this buff it's recently got, it just makes it so much better to have. And it being a free buy, it's amazing. Now, with the Alternator, it is a cheaper version of the 9.9, and I think it's just a great pair with the Mozambique, considering, you're going to have your Alternator, which is basically, along to close range, and you got your Mozambique to switch to if they do end up pushing you, and your battery is just an extra heal if you need to full heal if you get cracked. Now, along with those first buys, in that round, you want to try and get your crafting credits for the next round, as that's where you want to start upgrading your artillery. There is a massive artillery of guns in this arena game mode. Obviously, you can have all your standard guns, but I recommend the Volt, the R9, the PK, or the bow. Now, if you want to play a little slower, you can grab the Scout. I mean, the Scout is still such a viable gun and is a really great. If you are confident Sniper 2, that is another amazing long-range gun. And if you're really, really, really good with it, you can use that shit close quarters and absolutely just poop you on kids. Now, the Volt and the R9 are some of the best guns to run in Arena, especially for their price and their TTK. Now, the Volt isn't really, I know it's an SMG, but this thing, man, it acts like an AR. It is a hybrid gun in this game, and people just, it's such an underrated gun. People don't use it enough, in my opinion, and I really think it needs some more love. Now, with your points, save your points if you want to, because then if you want to, you could buy your 301 or your flatline, and sheesh, man, we all know what the flatline can do in close quarters and long range. That's nuts. And listen, if you are a Spitty user, you can buy that too. It's cheap, but don't be that guy. Don't be that person, okay? We all know the Spitty's broken, and it's just an easy way to, win games. Now, for the secondary, when you're coming into those later rounds, stick with your Mozambique. I know you're going to want to go with your PK, your Eva, or like another AR or something like that, but it is free. Now, you can use those credits for grenades, extra heals, maybe even upgrading your Volt or your 301 or whatever other gun you're running. Now, as I said, with the recent buff to the Mozambique, it has 6 bullets now. And if you hit all those bullets, it gives you 200 plus damage. And I'm pretty sure they just tied it in the bullet spread too. So it is a really insane gun. You just got to hit your shots with that, man. And it's a really sturdy secondary. If you're really feeling crazy, you can buy 2 non-free guns. It's going to really cost you a little bit. As I said, you can buy your PK, Eva, bow, whatever you want to run beside that. But I would recommend going with your free gun, buying your grenades and your heals, just so you've got something there and you've got your grenades to push people behind boxes and out of cover. Now, we're going to move on to gameplay. Let's go. Gameplay. Now, the biggest tip I have for you is play with your teammates. Now, I say it like that because it's important to play with your teammates. You know, there might not be any third parties in Arena, but you can still get picked off really easy. Playing with your teammates is an easier way to, you know, stay together, stay alive, team shot, you know, get kills easy, get picks. Now, if you are Lifeline, rule number 1 of Lifeline on Arena, play the gold bag. Second round, buy your gold bag. If you've got some extra money, you know, you buy your Volt, don't level it up, you move on, maybe buy a bat, etc. Now, with your team, stick with them, push your crafting materials and your pills. Let Lifeline open the pill boxes, or if you don't have a Lifeline, does anyone open them up? Get your extra heals. Make sure everyone shares them because you're going to need them. If, you know, it's a sweaty round and there's lots of damage put in between each teams, you're going to need those heals. Don't use the bats straight away. Stick with your cells and play smart with your batteries. Play with your batteries like you would in BR. Don't use your bats until it's about halfway or just under halfway because it's a complete weight of the battery if it's just for one cell spot. Now, each round, you're going to want to be upgrading your guns a little bit, maybe 1 or 2, buy your nades and upgrades, right? So it's just smart playing, play with your teammates, buy round, upgrade your guns, buy your nades, and play your crafting materials. Now, if you are a slower squad, everything in Arena depends on the way you play. So if you're a slower squad, make sure to stock up your heals, run your guns that with a good range, you know, your Volt or your Scout. You know, your Volt is an SMG, but it's really good from range, as I've said. You know, or you're going to use your Scout and play a little slower and just peek. But the reason I say heals is because you're going to be taking damage from each other. It's going to be pop shots. It's going to be pop shots constantly. So you're going to want to have those extra heals, you know, a couple more cells and a battery. That's what I'd recommend with your Scout upgraded once, maybe twice if you can afford it. Same with your Volt and, you know, stick with your cells and stuff. Now, with your grenades, it's up to you if you want to buy a grenade. I'd say if you've got the points, stick with just a standard grenade, not your arc stars or anything, because they are a little more pricey. Now, obviously, you got your faster squads as well. So stick with your cells again. Maybe buy an extra cell. Buy a bat because you're going to need that because you're probably going to get wrecked coming in hard like that. Now, you maybe not, maybe, you know, you absolutely shit on them and you don't take any damage. But it's smart playing your bat. Just buy one. If you don't buy any, play your pills, grab your bat from there. Make sure to share once again because you don't want to be a heal hog or a loot hog and not share with your team. Now, grab a gun that controls TTK, range, close range, everything like that. So your Volt or your R9. Now, your 9 can be used for range, but then again, you also have your option of your 301 and your flatline. Works great as well if you have the points. But again, man, the Volt is just king here. It's an SMG with the brain of an AR. Like, it's literally what it is, man. It thinks it's an AR, but in reality, it's still an SMG. It's absolutely cracked. Both amazing in close and far range. Now, remember, there are care packages. Use those care packages to your advantage. If you play zone and the other team isn't playing zone, wait out that package. If there is a knock and you've got that thirst or there's still a full team, still play the package. They've got fully kitted guns in them And, you know, you can see what guns are there too. At the beginning of every round, it will tell you what guns. Bottom right-hand corner, that's where the guns are going to be. Utilize this. Be careful as a team. Watch each other's backs when pushing it, because if you aren't careful, you will get beams going for the package. Now, I know people prefer certain play styles, but you're going to want to try and mix it up. Doesn't matter if the other team is good or not. Mixing it up always helps. Playing slow, then fast really puts a team off, because sometimes that team will think, okay, hold on a second. They're going to play super passive. So we're going to buy guns that will, you know, work for a close range and far, right? They could buy a Sentinel and they could buy a 9 or whatever else they want to buy. Get a pick, push up. That's how I would play it personally. So mixing it up and doing like vice versa. So range, fast, or fast, range. Always mix it up on your teams, because they will never expect you to do that. Now, we're going to move on to strategy. Let's go. All right, we're going to talk about strategy here a little bit. Arena is going to be super sweaty, man, and it's going to keep you on your toes. Now, you'll have to play smart. You're not going to want to overpeak, as I've said. If you're playing long range, try not to take your damage, especially in those first and early rounds, like your first 2 rounds. You're not going to have many meds. So you're going to be wasting heals. You're going to be wasting time, especially. Now, teams will always be different. You'll have your passive and your aggressive teams. Try and play against them and play better than them. Always outsmart your enemy. If you've got a Bloodhound, let that Bloodhound scan. Let 2 of your teammates push in and you watch them. Like, you got to play smarter, and this is why I recommend a Bloodhound, because a Bloodhound is so good and so handy for this. Run your nades, let your teammates push up while you watch. Just play smart, be smart. Just be better. Just be better. Now, the sweatier and, you know, your faster paced teams, you won't want to get too aggressive on them, as 90% of the time you'll probably end up on the bad end of the stick, the shit stick. You'll be on the shit stick, and they'll twirl you around a little bit. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun at all. So you want to wait for them to push, make them come out into the open, and make them make a mistake. Force a mistake. Make them push out into the open where you can beam them as a team, especially if it's just one of them. That's all it takes, is for one player to go down and for the other team to go into a frantic. Trust me, it happens. Now, you're not going to want to take too much damage. Don't push straight away. Don't play into the hands of the aggressive players. Now, you're not going to want to play too passive either, because that just gives the aggressive players too much ground to play. You're going to want to be in that mid ground of pushing and not pushing. Make them come to you and make a mistake. If you get knocked first, it's all over Red Rover. Your teammates are just going to get absolutely fried, and that's just the case. It happens to the best of us. Now, we're going to move on to a special list I made, so let's go. All right, this is going to be unknown things you can do. You might have known them, you might not know them, but tip 1, if you didn't know, you can buy and drop heals for your teammates. Now, I only recommend doing this in later rounds if you're 4-4 or 5-5 in those later, like, sweatier rounds, because if you do it any earlier, you may end up cucking yourself and not being able to fully upgrade your gun. Now, tip 2, you can carry ultimates over. So if you have enough points in round 2 and you're a Crypto or Revenant or anything, buy your ult. And if you don't use that ult there and then, it will carry over to the next round as well. Now, tip 3 kind of falls in with tip 2. Abilities carry over as well. So buy up, especially if you're low or pathy. 50 credits is all it takes to buy your abilities and your Qs. That's all. You can stock up and it will carry over if you don't use them. It's great stuff to know. I don't really have anything else, man. That's it. This is the guide. I hope it helps you, man. Like, I think I'm going to do another one when Arena Rank comes out. That's meant to come out soon, so we'll probably end up doing one when the meta changes, because you know there's going to be a different meta for Ranked. Now, this is it, man. This is your ultimate and only guide to Arena. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to come over to Twitch and ask me questions if you guys need to. I hope this did help, and I did kind of clarify some things if you guys didn't know. Also, ask me in the comments if you want. You know, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Stay safe, legends. Bye-bye.